Oh, hi. There we go. This is Brennan Moriarty, and I'm trying to do this download of what's the color here? What is it? The Unified Social Theory, and this is X and Y. X goes in the funnel, Y goes in the funnel. X is, let me just cover up the camera so I don't overdo the gigabytes. Just tear a little paper off here. And let me show you some of my writing that I've been doing here. This is the vehicle of the future, F of V, like F of X, but X is, of course, geography. V is, your vehicle, basically. And so, and then here's another one that's really rather interesting. Dealing with, your classic last chance. To catch a criminal or to prevent a crime, because if the crime is possible, then your criminals are never going to end. It's just going to, and people lose their, they laugh at stupid things because of geography, because of X is there. This is my Yeti, my left hand. This is my left hand. So yeah. What am I doing? One of the things I'm doing, this is just some really fresh writing. Again, the vehicle of the future on one side, the Unified Social Theory. And this is rather interesting. I do this writing with my other hand. And so I'm just practicing the alphabet. And it's difficult because, I got the Yeti thing. It's like, actually, you wouldn't believe this, but my middle finger, which is normal. I actually, in '91, I was in San Diego, and me and my brother had gotten back from Guatemala, where we had learned Spanish, and we had this fight, and he was like kicking me out. He smashed my radio, which I was playing in his apartment in San Diego, right on the lagoons and stuff like that. And I punched some glass, and this middle finger got a major cut. I mean, things were puckering up. Okay, I don't know if you can see the scar at all there, but it's like a big V-shaped scar on my middle finger. You can barely see it. This was, quite a lot. There's part of the scar, so it's kind of a V going on both sides. I don't know if, so anyways, that was a major cut, and I had a girl, one of the neighbors who was, we'd always hang out there, and she washed it up for me. But then I didn't go to the hospital. I just I took off for the mountains, San Diego, and eventually went up to. I stopped by some beach towns and saw these girls were hanging out at the beach around Malibu or somewhere like that, Santa Monica. I don't know. It was probably Malibu. And they were like, "Wow, that is crazy cut." These foxes, hanging out at the lifeguard stand in winter. And I ended up going up to Big Bear Lake, and I'm not sure if I went skiing while it was still healing, but I think I did. So I should have got stitches because it cut through the tendon. I punched the glass. It was just this fit of rage. I've been in Guatemala, and boy, things just fall apart in geography. And this was after, incidentally, the year before, in August, I had gone to Europe with my parents and my sister. We were all mom, dad, brother, me, and a little sister were all in the cars, Volvo, driving all over Central Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, and France. We ended up in Paris, and I wanted to go to an English-speaking country. That was like a year later. They wanted to send me to a kibbutz. It's Israel, Egypt, and I thought this was a joke because I wanted to go to an English-speaking country away from California. That could be New York. California is like another country in a sense. so I just try to be. Then I remember I was in Quebec in '95, and I was hanging out at the places you would go to Quebec for, some muffins. And I remember I was doing this, and I was like, yeah, this is it. And I was like, I was scaring like the locals, And I don't want to scare any. I don't want to be like this sort of like, sort of squaring, like sort of like this is the frame, and if you're in it, I don't want to be like that. Je ne passe. And I'm trying to learn some bit of French. Been listening to some radio. You get some AM radio. You can pick up distant frequencies. Of course, I speak Spanish, and German and French are both easy to understand once you have two languages, and they run in my ancestry, so I can see the culture. Spanish is really good with good people. Guatemala, it polarized me towards Latino. Yeah, I just, right after I learned Spanish, I got this culture shock that was just, it was really difficult. So I was just trying to record a video off my computer. It has 2,000 minutes to upload, so I tried to play the video and do YouTube recording at the same time, and it was a 30-minute video. I'm trying to keep it simple, highly informative, highly entertaining, so with the unified social theory, you have X is geography and Y is general happiness. They go together, but they are, in the sense, these beam, and X is this really big leverage beam, something to be fanatical about, just to realize that, the last chance to prevent crimes. This is love before hate. This is very important, and it's just utterly, it's just the truth. Okay, and so why is something that you do? It's so small you can't even stand there. Okay, it's not something to get fanatical about. PG easy. It's a child, maybe very optimistic about having good friends, good classmates, good humanity to enlighten. So why X and Y? These are fascinating subjects of global peace and unified social theory. Now, I was talking about I will talk about coastal engineering. So this is something that's really sociology is this bottomless pit on the scales of justice, and on the other side is the tower of power of engineering, inventing, but highly feasible. This is what genius does, is they think of purely things that are highly feasible, and in that mode, because there are psychos who think, oh, make something so complicated, no one will understand it, so that's why things are complicated. So I'm really fascinated by coastal engineering techniques. The surf wedge form is basically this portable island, this little, like a rock. Like, think of Plymouth Rock, if you will, if you're a Puritan, and this is beautiful, a rock in the ocean that's actually movable, like a ship, like the Mayflower or something like that, like a stepping off point to liberty. So this portable island, the surf wedge form, abbreviated S.W.F, like a single white female, a single wacky female, for entertainment purposes. The surf wedge form is a refractory structure that bounces waves off. It's emerged so wildlife could hang out on there. You could have birds on there. You have this system where it has a central collection center for all the bird doo-doo. So you collect all that stuff. So you'd have, it's a dual purpose structure. It's both like a focal point, something you could look at, Bill's Plymouth Rock, maybe Land's End, if you will, but it's portable, so wherever the land ends, you can simply move it to there if it gets too much attention, So you can actually move these things, and it's just 3 slabs connect together. You have this triangular thing, and ways roll up on this and bounce off and make these wedge surfing. So it's ideal surfing, ideal recreation, and it's just a highly feasible, like a stitch and glue. If you're into boat building, this is a technology, stitch and glue. But it's much more ideal is to have it kingpin connected. So you have these 3 slabs, and they're connected with kingpins. And so you can pull the pins out and take the slabs individually. So if there's like a catastrophe, the thing shifts in the heavy surf, heavy seas, you can take it apart without having to worry about it becoming a wreckage. I'm trying to get the tone here. I'm not that white, okay? Much more. I'm blushing, actually. Okay. So, what was I saying? And then with the surf wedge form, making waves and habitat, then you have that's the emerged structure, and then you have the submerged structure, which is much more of a permanent type of thing, which is the idea of putting a retaining wall out to sea, maybe 8, 10 feet, maybe even just 4 feet, and this extends the entire beach out. So you get new land forming. You get the waves, the surf zone is moving out to sea. The sand dunes can form, and behind those sand dunes you put a street, and so you can have all this new land basically just by putting a retaining wall in there. And you're doing this with bio rock. So bio rock is the idea of building sort of a natural rock with a metal and a little bit of electricity, direct current electricity. A diode is connected every 100 feet or so, and this forms this retaining wall. And then there's the potential to do extensions that go out into deeper water without requiring all this sand to naturally fill in there. Though you could just dump heavier soil like clay right on the beach, and this filters into the sand, stabilizing it, solidifying it, so a sandbar. So you could literally just, with a boat or with a truck or even a hose or something like that, put heavier soil right on the beach. It gets worked in with the surf, and this is like a form of beach stabilization for surfing. But the retaining wall is fascinating because you could do this retaining wall all along the coast where there is no beach currently, and they could be, some of them could be deeper water. So if the coastline just really sinks off fast, you put these retaining walls in there of whatever depth is required, and then you could have beaches where there are no beaches, and you could have bigger beaches where there are beaches. And think about shellfish, for instance, clams that grow in the surf zone. That's an ideal. And now, what we want to do is occasionally from this base retaining wall, which is biorock, and you could have eel grass growing all over the place. There's a carbon acidity equation there. The biorock likes alkaline, calcite, calcium, and the eelgrass kind of likes carbon, like all plants, carbon-based or calcium-based, calcium magnesium, in fact. So what we want to do is from this base retaining wall that could go just every coastline, where we could do it highly feasibly with either solid steel or wood pilings wrapped in a little bit of wire that are going to still grow that biorock. So the wood piling is strong, cheap, but it's going to rot away from worms and stuff like that. So you have it growing with the biorock, so it's just growing up to 2 inches every year, just thicker and thicker and thicker. And so the whole thing could be quite solidified, and then you have some tubes under there, perhaps for oxygen to defeat the acidification is a possibility. Chemistry, the highly feasible, simple thing, a little pipe going along there, bubbling up fresh air. And now the extension thing. So imagine you have this retaining wall that's going out just straight along a certain single depth. Maybe sometimes it's 4 feet, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's even 12. You could use shipping containers for this as well, for a much more instant effect. If you can get a few dozen shipping containers and grow biorock on them, indeed. But this extension thing is the idea where, and I've drawn some pictures of this on my socialvaccine.gather.com, so it's on there. But this extension thing is where you you put a bunch of pilings against those highly feasible pilings, and then you put decking of light sort of rebar metal grid. So this is more bar rock, but it's floating over the top of these pilings, going out over deeper water, going out into a point. So your main retaining wall is on the inside, and then you have these points going out, so it's like a point break, angled so that the waves could just break in like maybe 600 feet wave. That's said to be the ideal recreational surfing. So these structures would be. I'm worried that YouTube's not going to work. It only occasionally works for me. So, well, maybe I may be talking to myself here. So, the extensions, yeah. So bottle rock and this floating structure that goes out. But it's really, the surf wedge form is much more ideal. So you could put these right behind the retaining wall structure. And I haven't found out a clever name for that. It's just the beach extension retaining wall, I guess. So these extensions would go out, but the surf wedge form, that portable island, that is awesome because wildlife could be there. The thing is semi-permanent, portable. You could float it at high tide and move it. And the surf wedge form actually would have in the corners. So if it's just a three slab, identical slabs connected with kingpins, so it's disassemblable, highly disassemblable, and has a wooden lid on the top so that you can pressurize it so that it floats. So it literally just floats up in the water, and then for this so this is the surf wedge form is a habitat, a wildlife habitat. So your birds, I was telling you about the central drain, those drains could be mass produced and put by themselves. So all kinds of birds could have this habitat thing, this sort of elliptical, parabolic, highly sort of natural strength, very thin structures that are just, you put them on the roof along coastlines, and birds, beautiful birds, can hang out there and collect all of their pollution. And design certain ones just for shorebirds. This is awesome because shorebirds are nice. Seagulls and pelicans, poop, 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 and that's unhealthy. So what was I saying? Yeah. So the surf wedge form, that portable box, transportable box, would have next to the kingpins that connect the slabs together. It's 3 or 4 or 5. So if you want to have a triangular with that isosceles, the 60-degree angle seems to be the best. It's not 90 seems right, but it's all about the depth. So you have to have those retaining walls and extensions on the thing. A little bit of GEO TEXTILE, but also just slabs that are hanging on there, ensuring the depth coming off of the surf wedge form. So the wave comes in, it only breaks in a certain depth. So you have to undercut would possibly make it too deep right along the surf wedge form for waves to break. So you have to have these depth controls. And then what I'm trying to say is you have to have pilings. So you have to have these anchors that go in on the portable semi-permanent surf wedge form. So these pilings go in. You have a highly feasible driving system that puts them in, something like a water tank that just is so super light, and it goes on the top of the piling. And because it's very light, you can get it up there very easily with a simple crane. Very simple, very simple. And then it just kind of hammers it into the sand, ideally, or potentially into reefs. But so once the surf wedge form is full of water and or sand is stable, it's going to be very heavy and rather inert. And if it shifts or if it gets flipped over or something like that, you just take it apart and tie a winch or a ship onto a ship, yeah. Ship! Hitchhiking for a ship, right? New recruit. So you just pull those slabs out individually, and you actually reassemble them right there in 20 feet of water with a new lid, probably. So the lid's very cheap, and hopefully you keep it in one piece. But so you have to have these shafts for the piling stabilizers, potentially just 3 of them. And then you have a jack that's pre-built in there, so you could actually jack those pilings out. And potentially this could be semi-automated, or you have a little access hatch, so someone goes in there and maybe maybe 3 people going there jacking the pilings out very carefully for safety. This all has to be highly feasible, highly safe, genius designs. The vehicle of the future. This is it for the environment and for climate change. Okay, so it's you know, in cities, imagine you have the vehicle of the future is basically a box. So the box is the third element of engineering. You know, nations, new world norms, and the engineering thread. And this is, of course, marriage and general happiness, which is, you know, bleak poverty and criminals. Think criminals. Don't think poverty or races, because that's you're being that's being fanatical and evil. And preventing crime is this one, the secondary norm. The second and the primary norm is what we want to stabilize. We want the nations to be able to hold on without, you know, being too nutty. So that this wheel of the vehicle of the future. So imagine you take your vehicle of the future into a city, and it automatically parks itself and connects to the next vehicle. But you're connecting via personal profile stratification. This is where you're connecting with people who are like you, who you have quantified yourself through a 3-button system. It's a software system, but it doesn't have to be computer energy intensive. It could be literally just like a bell. You know, you ring A, B, C, or NBC, whatever it is. It literally just as simple as possible. If you're tone deaf, there's a bell for you. Okay, and so a vehicle feature would connect together to the next vehicle, and they'd all be connected together. So you have one vehicle pulling all these vehicles, and then when you get to your spontaneous destination or your reservation, whichever kind of person you are, you simply get out, and you know it's going to stop there. You're not going to be driving or parking or driving around in circles or freaking out. You're not even going to be polluting. You're going to be simply by the people you have designated yourself to be trusting of. You know, just, you know, eyes wandering around, not focusing on, oh, why is that guy in front of me? You know, you have to, there has to be technology, polytechnology, to enable X and Y to exist happily, okay, without any confusion. You know, no questions, just answers. So, what did I say? I just put this one, Exodus Ex Normalis US. Exodus Ex Normalis. That one is awesome. That comes from taking care of myself. So the vehicle of the future, this is just awesome, and it's just going to connect together. It's about ideal comfort and efficiency. Okay, so the psychopath is not going to be able to release itself within us. We're going to be contained and yet free, liberated. We're going to be justly contained and highly liberated, so we could get out at point A, point B, point C. We could get out, and the bicycle, if you want to get crazy, you know, you get on your bicycle and then you can like ride with the pack, you know, and communicate, not in that silent box, unless if you want silence. But silence is like not thinking about what's outside of the box. If you want to be outside, get on your bicycle, you're riding around. Again, these are also require these little bit of controls, this little bit of policy technology that is supposed to be designated by the nation. And then the secondary norms, these ones stabilize that. They are the vision of global peace. And then engineering, that vehicle of the future. And then marriage, everyone should be happy. Everyone, including general happiness, without any hype or fanaticism about that. You want hype? You know, stick your thumb out. Okay, that's all. Your ship, your seat on the Titanic is coming. Okay, the secondary norm is that sort of reality that the captain needs to see. Okay, so let's publish this, and I pray that you guys get to see it. And I just had a big cup of tea, so I'm kind of like, you know. And you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, come on. It's like I was battling great enemies. I was the only survivor, and the alien ship is still looking for me. Shin. Yeah, and so in preventing crime, that is the secondary. That is the thread that we must not see. The nation coming to the new world, if they see that person being trapped, that is rationality for crime, and the crime anywhere, in any sort of nation, from the actual people or from the actual nation's leaders. Evil future, blah 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 blah. These threads are waving out and putting the energy, and praying that there's. Well, I don't want to jinx it. Come on, it's that would be nice. you guys are really crazy, you know. I need a coach. I'm coaching myself, and the monkey dance. Oh, wow. Yeah, bud.